hello. I'm so glad you could come and join us here in New Zealand. We're on a friend's boat. We're going out sailing. We've got some fabulous food we've got to prepare before we go.
So we're going to do them fish orientated as we're by the sea. We're going to do a rich oyster pie for you. Then we're going to do some fish fillets done with lemon and herbs, whole stuffed fish. Following this with a lovely mushroom and walnut and bouvain salad. And then finally, to top it all off, watermelon and gin.
You've started already.
Yeah, you combed your hair, did you? We're going to start firstly with the watermelon and gin salad. Now, what I did here, I used, it's my section, thank you. I used about 3/4 of a very large watermelon, which I cut up into cubes here, took out as many of the black seeds as I could, and I really don't care about this lot anyway if they choke on them. So I've divided this into 2 bowls because I won't have a chance to mix this properly. Could I have the mint?
Oh, of course, yes.
I chopped up a bowl of mint. Thank you so much, Captain. A bowl here of fairly fine mint, and I'm just going to put half of this into this one. As I say, I'm dividing this purely because I can't get, I couldn't toss this properly. Just give this a bit of a twirl. This is an unusually nice salad, I think, because particularly the last ingredient. So as this is a large salad, because we've got about 20 people for lunch, you can't see them all at the back there, I'm putting about a cup of gin. Doesn't matter if you a little on this, I'm not measuring, about a cup into each bowl. And this gives it an incredible aromatic flavour. Just again, gently turn that around. I'm putting this back all into the same bowl again, like that. And I'm going to cover that, put that in the refrigerator, and make sure that's lovely and cold for when we're ready. Thank you, Maestro.
Will you get rid of your bits?
I will, there you are. You just throw it on the floor like
that.
that. Wouldn't be like home, would it, if I didn't do that?
I knew you'd do that. Right, now let's make the pie.
Let us first do what all good sailors do and have a bit of the old Navy rum.
Cheers.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? I waited too long
You've
for
got
that.
a little cheeks, look at all
Right.
lovely, curly, look at that, look all brown. Now we're going to do this pie for him. And what we did, we've got
Stunning
some
pie.
really
This is
wonderful
so marvellous,
oysters.
this pie,
Shut
isn't
up,
it?
get on, put your butter in and heat it up.
Oh, very good.
Otherwise it'll never be hot, you know what you're like.
About 50 grams of butter I'm putting in here.
We've got here some oysters. Now these are Pacific oysters, which are native to New Zealand, but other parts of the South Pacific area.
That's clear.
And we're using 5 dozen of these in the actual dish itself.
Actually using 4, 8, 12.
All we did was put them into some hot water for 10 minutes just to plump them up and stiffen them. Now this seems, for us it's very reasonable to use 5 dozen oysters. For a lot of other people in the world it may be very hard.
Gavin eats
So
what he's thinking about.
we suggest that perhaps you could make a weight up of about 1 kilo or just over 1 kilo of fish, or a mixture of smoked fish and firm fish. So that goes in there like that. Look at that, looks like a
They've all
pudding.
congealed.
Haven't they meant to? That's the spring onions you want?
Yes. Now, I'm just melting here, as I say, 50 grams of butter. I'm adding in here about 4 or 5 finely chopped spring onions.
I'll hand you that, your parsley.
And about 3 tablespoons here of finely chopped parsley, which we did in a hushinette. I love that word, hushinette.
And your
And
mushrooms.
I won't forget my mushrooms, David. You're determined I will. And I've cut up a bowl here because I'm going to make a mushroom salad later on. But I just want about 2 good handfuls of mushrooms. This is all part of the ingredients for the pie. Now, I've got butter stuck all over me. I'm just putting these through this butter, 500 grams of butter, as I said. This is purely to bring out the flavours of the vegetables we're using here at this time. Now, you've got a big bowl. Aye. That's for later. In fact, I don't like them when they've been put through water like that. So we're just talking here about a couple of minutes. My glass has fallen down now. I knew that'd happen.
More butter?
Just a moment. Who do you think you are, Captain Bligh? Another 50 grams of butter goes in there like that. You want that, don't you, like a knife?
Thank you.
Melt that, and then we're adding to this the finely. What about the eggs?
Now,
first?
all right, the
Chook
4
fruit first.
hard-boiled eggs.
And you take the shells off. Now, I do not understand this, but the recipe
It just
said...
gets all buttery and
But
lovely.
why put them in whole? Why not chop them up?
Now, we're also using for this too some cut-up artichoke hearts. Now, we've got
They're
here...
bottoms.
These are the bottoms, but you could use artichoke hearts, and you need
between
about
your heart and
4
your
or
bottom.
5 of these, because these are
Strange.
essential to the dish. So 4 or 5 artichoke bottoms canned, or artichoke hearts go into this.
Again, just sauteed round. Anything else? Oh, yes, my fresh asparagus. We're using here, I did some fresh asparagus this morning. If you're using tinned asparagus, then make sure you drain all the water off. Actually, if you drink asparagus water, it's very good for you.
I know, but it does something to you.
Oh, you know when you've drunk it, don't you? Very good for the kidneys. So again, we're just talking here, this lot, sauteed quickly through the butter, and then all into this same dish again.
Now what you would normally do with that then, break these eggs up roughly like this, because you're going to mix it all into a
Break your eggs
pie.
up roughly.
Yeah, well you don't do it smoothly, would you?
No.
And it's not easy to do actually with a spoon.
I know.
And then
Use
you
a
would,
knife.
what you would do is leave this to cool completely, and then make up a pastry base, put a pastry base into a 4-cup mould or pie dish, which is about
Yes.
2 pints.
Cheers, everybody.
But as this one we can't leave it to cool because it's the only one we've got. I mean, you can't keep doing 5 dozen oysters at a time all the time, every day, can you? So what we do is just look out to get this one side, is take a couple of smaller sized dishes. You put half that mixture into each of those for me, please. All right.
Gone quiet, hasn't it? They all
Yeah,
gone out.
no, they're still there.
They're there.
They're waiting for the
We've
booze
got all our
part
friends,
to
they're
come
all
up.
behind the cameras waiting to sock into this as soon as
Now,
we finish
if you do this, and when you've done it into the pastry shell underneath, once this filling is perfectly cold,
I know why you asked me to do that.
Why?
Because what am I going to do with the bowl? Stick it out the
You
window.
can get rid of it. Straight through the window and give it a quick wash. Now we've just got a pastry
filled,
sheet
isn't it?
that we're just going to place over this like this now, and just fold those edges in. And as I say, what you would do is you would make sure that's well sealed once that's cold, and then when you've done it, you just glaze it with cream. But unfortunately, we left the cream behind, and we can't go back for it at the
I need
moment.
to tell the truth, you actually left it in the cowl.
Yeah.
Well, we were in a hurry this
Just
morning.
about. Do this other one for me if you wouldn't mind.
Oh,
Like, you'll be there all
what's this
day. Yeah, I'll pick it and tuck the
how did you
sides.
do it? Oh, I
Just
see,
tuck them
fold
in
it.
and then do it like that.
Never
Now
done
make,
this before.
make a hole in the centre. Now what you would do, when you've cooked this in the oven at about 180 degrees Celsius for approximately 30 to 40 minutes, take it out after 30 minutes, mix together 2 egg yolks, about half a cup of cream, a little bit of white wine, a touch of corn flour, mix it together and pop it through the hole in the centre with the aid of a funnel. That's why you need really one big dish that's high so that the pie is deep. But we haven't got the pie dish like that. As I say, we left the cream anyway, so we can't show you. We can only explain it. But this is the pie, this is a larger one.
Lovely back you've got.
I know.
Fat.
Was I smiling then or not?
I don't know.
There's one there, and as I say, this is a shallow pie, but you would put that through the middle for 10 minutes and then pop it back in the oven and leave it there until it's really nice and golden brown and crusty.
But this is a lavish pie, but it's very, very rich.
Wow.
It's going to serve, like, I'll count here, it's going to serve about 20 of us afterwards, after I've had my big slice of it. But we want to get on now and make the mushroom salad, and I want to start with the dressing. So I want to use here about 1/4 cup, oh, the top's come off it, 1/4 cup of virgin oil. And I like virgin oil because it's pure and unsullied. That's why I suppose it's the first pressing, actually. I don't like all that. Would you stop? About a tablespoon of about
I
a
think I'm going to be sick.
Oh, God, it's not that right. About a tablespoon of white wine vinegar, but I prefer actually to use white wine because I don't really like the taste of vinegar. So, but you use it if you want to.
Right,
About 2 teaspoons of Dijon or a soft mustard here. Don't use a heavy English one because this would be far too hot. I wanted to use fresh basil, but at the moment it's not available. So I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of dry, and the oil and the vinegar will actually let that puff out. Stop laughing over there, Chelsea. It's not funny at all. This is serious. And about 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, I better do this with. I can't. About 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Now, paprika's got to be. I've done it. There, yes, I've done it. Thank you. And then the juice of half a lemon, which I'll cut with my foot. So that's the virgin oil, tablespoon of vinegar, juice of half a lemon, basil, preferably fresh if you've got it, 1/4 teaspoon. This is not going on the floor either. It's going into a tidy on the floor under the table here. Just beat this with a wire whisk until it's well blended, or as they say, emulsified. That's when, if you're doing vinegar and oil, it turns opaque and white. I'm sure you like all this. They're so bored over there. They all go at us. Just tip this over the salad, remembering, of course, to put in the spring onions that you kept from the other dish.
There you are. Actually, you've got less. You've got too many mushrooms in there.
I
for
haven't.
The salad.
I'll make some more for after. This
All
is
right,
just to let everybody. They're not doing this for 20 people.
Right.
There we are. Now, if I could have the plate with the lettuce on it, you can help me today, or just rest on your laurels. I'll just use my hands to get this together because I don't really want to break the mushrooms up. Just gently. Get that
Get rid of all that other rubbish.
I will in a minute. I'm in the middle of doing something else. So I've just dressed a plate with lettuce here. Tip the mushroom salad out onto here. quiet, isn't it? Not even the seagulls are making a noise. They're all watching. You can get rid of that. And then we're adding to that about a cup of... This is going to be good. We're going to add to this about a cup of... My hands are all greasy. Don't help me, will you?
No.
Add to this about a half a cup to a cup of chopped walnuts. Just sprinkle these over the top and over the floor. Use a bigger dish than I'm actually using. And then finally onto that... And I have to clean this up, would you believe it? We've got nobody. Do you notice how I didn't throw too much on the floor? And then finally here, I'm using a New Zealand blue vein cheese here, which is rather, in Europe, it'd be like a gorgonzola or something like that. Just crumble this finally over the...
Do you want help?
It's the way it's the ship. I'm nearly getting seasick here. It's terribly rough out here today.
No,
Just
look, it looks
It
hideous.
looks stunning. It does not. It is absolutely
Far.
beautiful.
We'll tart it up
That's
later.
going back into the refrigerator and will be chilled until we're ready to serve it at lunch later on.
Now I want to do just some very, very simple fish fillets.
That should be easy for you, shouldn't it?
Yes.
Simple.
Now, just take a piece of foil and just brush it a little bit with some...
We would have the noises not a
Peanut
person would
oil.
ever know. No, they'd squeak out of one of
They're all
them.
too busy guzzling their booze down, aren't they? And take these fish fillets, excuse me, dashing off again to one side, but I've got some flounder fillets here, which will be like sole. And you just put 2 of those per person, like that. And then onto that, we just need a couple of slices of... It's silly to do it that way, isn't it? I'll have to move it over a bit, sorry. We need a couple of... Leave that
That
there.
looks delicious.
Right.
Let me drink.
Couple of slices of lemon per serving. So that's 2 fillets per serving. Couple of thin
Cheers.
slices of lemon. Let's put it on there like that. We've got a sprig here of dill, which you can have 1 or 2 sprigs of dill.
This
which
dish is
rather
really
nice.
named after you, isn't it? Simple and dilly. Little pepper.
Shut up.
Get on quickly, they're all hungry.
A little black pepper.
Uh-huh.
A tiny bit, not too much of salt, because otherwise it gets...
Ooh.
Oops, here we go again.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a bit better, isn't it? Oh, it'll be rough by lunchtime.
A little bit of salt, and then also finally just about a tablespoon of white wine, and then just on top of that,
Sorry.
just to give it a roundness, just a couple of dots of butter, like that, and fold them up. Then, as I say, you can put these on the barbecue, and you can barbecue those like that easily for... Takes about 15 minutes because it's only very thin, or you can bake them in the other. I'll just put another one together very quickly, right? Now just 2
show-
fillets.
Did you butter it, grease it?
No.
Excuse me, shall I help?
Yep, just a little bit there. Right. Bum, 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 bum. Now this is the grey and the white. They're both from the same fish, naturally. Where's my knife gone again?
I don't know.
Over
You're
here.
doing it.
I keep doing it on the board and I haven't got room to do anything. Just some lemon. You can change it slightly. You could actually add slices of orange or grapefruit if you want to it to give it a different taste. Herb, dill, or you can use fennel if you haven't got any dill. And if you haven't got fresh, then you could use
fennel.
a little bit
Careful on
of
a boat.
powdered, a little
Might
bit
have thought you
of
said
dried fennel. We're not on that sort of boat.
Oh, they're
It's
just
going
getting rough again. Oh, watch out. Haven't been to sea for a while.
And some black pepper, because it's always nice to have freshly black pepper. Touch of white wine, about a...
But these are
tablespoon
very,
of
very
white
simple
wine.
to do, and they're a lovely thing for a barbecue, or of course, I don't know whether David mentioned, if you haven't a barbecue,
bake
put
them
these in the oven and bake them off in the oven. But please don't overcook it. It's better to have fish slightly
So it's
undercooked.
very simple to do a portion per person
What about the
for
turkey?
the barbecue. All right?
Yeah.
Now, what we want to do now is just
turkey.
take
I'll
that
wrap
away.
this.
Just to wrap
I'll
that
get
up.
this for
I'll
you.
get the fish. Now, what we're going to do now is to bake a whole fish. When you've done that, I'll just give you a piece of foil first,
Right.
Peter. And we're doing a whole turkey with a stuffing that I've got here. Just give you a piece of foil.
Oiled?
Foil, yeah, just oil it for me, if you wouldn't mind.
That's what I just said to you in English.
Now this turkey is, you get it and it's got to be really fresh. You take all the scales off and the fins and just rinse it under a little bit of water. And you really need good fresh fish. Go!
Gosh, that
Kill
is
the
fresh.
thing! Kill it!
Hit it with a mallet.
Gee.
Boy, was that fresh.
Just take that out.
Poor little thing.
dear.
Is the other one dead?
Oh, that looked dead. Yeah, I think that one jumped
Actually, I
on
just
it.
caught these this morning, so I can vouch how terribly fresh they were.
Right. Now just take this. Now what we've done is taken the fins off the back and we've taken the things, it's been scaled and gutted. This is turkey. We made a mixture up of, I'll just take those out for a minute, of fresh breadcrumbs, chopped tomato, herbs such as thyme, some parsley, a little salt and pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice. And what you do now is just stuff that inside the cavity, and all this really is doing is giving you some flavour. You add to that, if you want to, a sprig of fresh herbs, and in this instance savoury. You would normally pin that together or just stitch it up if you wanted to, because that's the easiest way
But
of
if you
doing
haven't
it.
the time, don't bother, just make sure the tin foil's tightly rounded. And a reason too for taking off the fins, which David didn't say, is they have a tendency to pierce the tin foil and let all the steam and the juices leak
And
out.
scaling it as well, because
yes.
you need it scaled because it's easier
Otherwise
to
you
eat.
keep going.
That's right, so we'll just do another one of those because we've got
Like
plenty
paint
of
foil.
a little bit of oil on there, please.
Like this, like painting the side of a ship, isn't it?
Now, as you see, one of the things about this fish, you can see that the eyes, you see like that they're wiggling because it is perfectly fresh. They're not opaque in any way and they've still got the water and there is no smell to it whatsoever. If you get any hint of smell from fish, then it isn't that fresh and it's a good idea not to buy it. So when you're going to the store, just pick it up and say, I'll take it or leave it, whichever the case may be.
Very nice that the lady's got white gloves on.
There's very few people with white gloves these days.
Yes. So again, put this in. This stuffing really is only just to imbue
Just
the
the
fish with a
flavour,
little
keep it
extra
moist.
and keep it moist.
Now, a lot of people do actually sometimes slash the fish across
I don't
like
like
that
that.
if it's very thick. But in this case, it's not that thick, the fish, so we won't bother to do it. Oh, a little sprig of savoury in there again. And just leave it there, Peter. And then we're going to wrap that one up, and that will also be used and put on the barbecue, or you can bake it in the oven, and that will be for our
Right,
guests.
so we've got our oyster pie in the oven.
Yep.
We've done our watermelon and gin salad. The mushroom salad's chilling, despite how you think it all looks awful. It's stunning. You're going to barbecue these now, and
Yeah.
I'll go and sit up the dining saloon. We
Okay,
can let
fair
all
enough.
these wonderful friends of ours fill their faces.
Right.
That's what I'm going to have. Cheers.
Now, as we said, we were going to barbecue these fish packets, both the ones with the fillets in and also the whole fish, and we're doing it on a gas barbecue. But if you haven't got one, or the weather's inclement and the sun's not shining like it is now, then what you can do is just bake them in the oven. About 200 degrees Celsius, about 15 minutes for the smaller fish fillets because they're only very thin, and about 25 to 30 minutes depending on the thickness of the whole fish. Now, as you know, what we did with these, I'll just take these off because I know these are actually cooked. I'll show you one in a moment. The fish fillets, which were actually flounder fillets, you could use sole or something like that. We just put a couple of slices of lemon, some dill on top of that, a tablespoon of dry white wine, a couple of knobs of butter and a couple of slices of lemon, and then salt and pepper, and just roll those up. And then in the fish itself, which we stuffed, the whole fish, we used some breadcrumbs, some chopped tomato, some herbs. You can use a little bit of thyme, parsley, and also too we put some fresh savour in it, a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's all we do, which is really all it's doing is keeping them moist and giving them a little bit of flavour. Now, if you're going to not cook them on a barbecue like this, which is just like straight charcoal, for example, then I suggest you double wrap your fish fillets or your fish in a double thickness of heavy foil, because otherwise it could pierce it and you're going to lose a lot of those juices. And it's those juices that come with the fish after they cook that we need. Now I'll just show you what these are like. This is the fish fillet, as I say, which we just put some lemon on and everything there, and all the butter is melted, natural juices come out from the fish, and you've got these beautiful fillets which makes a lovely meal just for one person to have, all nice butter and wine all in there. And then these ones here, this is the large one, whoops, all that beautiful juice, and as you can see, scaled. Make sure you've got to take all those scales off, all the fins off, and then you can just take it off the bone very easily once it's cooked. And to make sure whether it's cooked, just pierce it, and as you can see, that's still very, very moist. You can see the moisture there, and also it's just gone opaque, so that's perfectly cooked. So what we're actually going to do is now move off to another location, set up what we've done, our pie and everything else, and our other fish and our salad, have all our guests who've been desperately waiting to get into the booze and also to get into the food more particularly. So we're going to move off and then put it all together and we'll eat it. See you soon.
Oh, we've got it all together at long last. Everybody, all our friends are seated down here.
Yes,
We've
they're
got
all
it.
waiting
Yes, look at all
desperately.
these lovely smiling. They're all starving. We've done here, just to show you again, there's the watermelon and gin and mint salad. Just a nice thought, lovely drink afterwards. I think it's exquisite.
Yes, all right, Pete. I agree. A bit more dressing would have not gone amiss.
Ignoring him, the mushroom salad with the blue vein cheese and the walnuts, and just surrounded with a few little tomatoes, if you'd like.
And the bit they're all
Our
going to eat is
joint
the
pie, joint pie, which is stunning.
5 to 6 dozen oysters, don't forget. Or remember, smoked fish or fish if you want to use it instead.
And then we've got the parcels of fish here,
Yeah, just
and then the
fish.
whole teriyaki. This is a New Zealand one, but you can use a large fish again yourself, and we hope you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, well, we've given them boaty drinks. We've given them either choice of whatever they want.
I've got a boaty
gins,
drink.
wine or whatever.
I've got a boaty drink.
So anyway, we're going to
Anyhow,
tuck in.
to
Thank
all
you
our
for joining us
friends
on the
here,
boat.
to you, God bless you all. We'll see you next week. And to our friends, tuck in. God
We're the
bless.
seasick pills. Cheers. Well, do you want to try some? Don't just
yes,
stand
right,
there, for God's sake. Eat a piece of that.
You want one of the lads?
Nice thing here.
There we go. Oh, not too big a bit,
I'm going to
Pete.
cut it like that.
Will you pass me a large plate?
Watching my ball piece here.
Oh, do you? Oh, here you are, darling. Here we come. Look at this. Oh, what about that?
Masterly.
Oh, it's all fallen over. Never mind.
That's nice.
All tastes exactly the same. Gavin, do you want a piece?
Who's going to try the fish?
It's
the
so
fresh
full of
asparagus.
fish.
You have oysters? Sorry, darling, about that. Oh, you have got
Even